The top 3 moments from Game 1 of the NLDS. Number 3, without a doubt, Jose Iglesias just working that pitch count.
7 foul balls. As it went on and on, you could see the frustration on Matt Strom's face, just not having the answer to Jose Iglesias. That's why Jose Iglesias is hitting where he is in the lineup, because he puts bat to ball at a rate that is elite in Major League Baseball.
Number 2 moment, Mark Vientos. I like to call him Marky Playoffs now. 8th inning, gets the boys going, gets the boys on board.
Yeah, that was a bad beep at bat by Mark Vientos to, like I said before, to take that slider down and away, which was a great pitch by Jeff Hoffman. If you watch that pitch, that could have been strike 3.
Number 1 moment, Brandon Nimmo gets hot for the playoffs.
Brandon Nimmo with 2 strikes, shortens up and shoots one the other way between Bohm and Trey Turner at third and short into left field. Gets the Mets the lead for the first time. We had been sitting, waiting, watching for the Mets offense to explode.
Yo, thanks for meeting us at the Apple. Mets just took Game 1 of the NLDS. Me and John were here at Citi Field, fired up. Sorry for the Mets. The Mets are getting ready for playoff baseball this Tuesday, so things are all over the place. But the boys are fired up. The Mets had yet another comeback win. My friend texted me and said the comeback, the cometh, but like Met capitalized. The cometh back kids.
The cometh back kids. They did it all year. We've talked about it here on the podcast. 41 come from behind wins, the 3rd most in baseball. Now all 3 of their wins so far in the postseason in come from behind fashion. They get it done in Game 1 on a night where Zack Wheeler, I mean, you got to tip your cap to Zack Wheeler.
Yeah.
He shoved 7 strong innings. The Mets could not wait for Zack Wheeler to be out of that game. And the second he left, the second Rob Thompson made that call to the bullpen, the Mets took advantage. And once again, Vito, the Mets do the little things in this game to help them score 6
Shout out to AJ Pierzynski. Shout out to AJ Pierzynski, who said the Mets were not going to win this game with base hits. The only way they were going to win this game was running into one and hitting a home run. But the Mets have proved they don't always need a home run.
They don't always need a home run. They did it in Milwaukee in Game 1. Obviously, the big home run by Pete Alonso gets them to this round. But for the Mets in Game 1 against the Phillies, it was all singles, and it was also timely hitting, big, long plate appearances. Jose Iglesias' 10-pitch at-bat. All the foul balls. We're finally putting one up the middle. 2 sacrifice flies. Starling Marte, Pete Alonso getting the job done. Brandon Nimmo coming up with the go-ahead hit. Infield for the Phillies, drawn in. Nimmo with 2 strikes, getting it done. That's another big thing tonight. The Mets were great in 2-strike counts. Countless hits. I don't have my laptop with me, so I didn't get a chance to look it up.
Let's be honest with everybody right now.
Grassroots.
This is grassroots. This is the most rush. There's some days where we sit down and we talk about what we're going to do, and you'll hear me say in some episodes, John, follow the agenda. But today we were here at Citi Field for one of these watch parties, and I got to say, if there's a watch party, come, because this place.
Were you here for the? You weren't here for the last one.
I wasn't here for the last one.
So your first one, my first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was awesome.
This was incredible, dude. The fans here were just as loud if the Mets were on the field. I made a joke.
It was like with 3 balls, they're cheering. I'm like,
people are standing up.
They can't hear him.
But it's all about the energy. And I turned to John as a joke, and I was like, best seats I've ever had at Citi Field, and the team is in Philadelphia. It's crazy.
We were right on the plate.
Second row, but this place is absolutely bananas, which shows you Tuesday is going to be even more insane.
Oh my God.
But if there's a watch party during the playoffs, you got to come because the fans are here. The fans this year have a connection with this team I've never seen before.
Because this team is special. This team does incredible things. I mean, that 8th inning, the energy in the stadium here, you could feel it through the screen, what was going on in Philadelphia, the belief in the dugout. Mark Vientos, once again, 2 hits.
Marky playoffs.
That 2-strike hit, looking for the slider, down and away against a tough righty and Jeff Hoffman, getting the job done. That was a massive hit for a guy who's come up with big hits over and over again for this team all season long. I also want to shout out the job done by Kodai Senga and then David Peterson, who kept the score where it was, and then Reed Garret, who threw 2 scoreless innings as well for the Mets. The bullpen, another incredible job, and of course Edwin Diaz not have to be used by Carlos Mendoza. Another day of rest for the Mets. You'll love that. Dude, I was thinking as this game went along, you go back to past LDSs when the Mets have moved on, gotten through that round, into the next round, it always starts taking Game 1. You think about Dodger Stadium. David Wright's big hit in the 5th inning, turned that game upside down.
Yeah.
Some other LDSs in the past. Edgardo Alfonso, I believe today was the anniversary of the grand slam he hit in the top of the 9th inning in Arizona in 1999.
I mean, not to go away from the LDS, but we've seen in the wild card game. Has there been a team that hasn't won Game 1 that didn't win the wild card in the new format? No.
And also, I feel like it's also very important for the Mets, who took 3 or 4 from Philadelphia the last series that we saw here, lost 2 of 3 in Philadelphia the weekend before that, but we know The Mets were up 4 runs in the Saturday game, and they were up 1-0 in the 8th inning. Corey, you can come in. It's all
Corey,
good.
you can come in. We're in your space.
The Mets could have easily taken at least 2 of 3, if not swept that series. The Mets made the division race interesting down the stretch. Now, the Phillies built such a lead in the first half. We know that the Mets didn't have a great April and May. They kind of felt a little bit too far out of reach, but I feel like there was some doubt in Philadelphia that if there was another 20 games in the regular season, the Mets could have caught the Phillies.
I got a text. My wife got a text from a friend of hers who is a Phillies fan, who she used to work with, and he texted her the second the Brewers lost that game 3 and said, "Congrats to you and your husband. That's the one team I didn't want to see."
Yeah, we said this. No one wants the Mets.
And can I get a V. Stradamus credit? What did I turn to you and say about this game before even the first pitch?
Vito did say to me it was going to be a little bit of a rocky start.
I said home run early. The boys settled down.
He didn't realize third pitch in rocky start.
I said early.
That's just Indiana University's Kyle Schwarber doing what he does.
John said he's thinking about putting Indiana highlights up during games. Let us know what you guys think. If you're at a Mets game and an Indiana highlight comes up, what would you do? But
the undefeated Hoosiers, baby.
I think this is the perfect time to talk about the top 3 moments from Game 1 of the NLDS. Number 3, without a doubt, Jose Iglesias just working that pitch count. That was crazy. Just to see a pitch sequence go so far without taking a single ball.
7 foul balls as it went on and on. You could see the frustration on Matt Strom's face, just not having the answer to Jose Iglesias. Look, I think Adam Amin, who did play-by-play today, said it. That's why Jose Iglesias is hitting where he is in the lineup, because he puts bat to ball at a rate that is elite in Major League Baseball. That was an incredible plate appearance to finish it off, even if he made it out there. Just to make Strom work the way he did, that's a victory. But to get a hit and keep the line moving the way that they did, because I told you, and I was sitting there even after Mark's hit, even after Brandon's hit, the Mets take the lead. By the way, so we were sitting next to each other the entire game. I went across the aisle to start the 8th inning, and Vito and Marley and Marley's parents looked at me like, what is he doing?
No, I knew what you were doing.
Oh, I was trying to change
Did you not see your phone? I thought you did that on purpose, because I texted you and I said, don't come back down here.
Oh, no. So that was when I got my secret hot dog that I didn't tell you about.
Yeah.
But when I did come back, I went to the other side.
And I thought you did that because you were saying, like, I'm not coming back to my seat.
I didn't even see that. I wasn't checking my phone. I was not checking my phone, but I changed seats, and all of a sudden.
And what's crazy, John had a secret hot dog, and then he tells me that right before we start recording, and, like, I also had a secret. We literally both snuck off to the concourse and both got separate secret hot dogs.
We're so bad.
That's just a bizarre thing to have in common. Like, let's just go get our secret hot dogs.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, if I don't eat now, I don't know when I'm going to eat, because I knew the podcast was happening. So I was like, I should just probably get a hot dog or something, $5, which another reason to come to these watch parties.
The $5 Coors Lights are fun.
An incredible deal for everybody.
$5 hot dogs. Today was fun. Number 2.
Anyway,
Let's move on.
Jose Iglesias getting the big hit. Keeping the line moving. What I was going to say was, before we got very far off tangent.
And that's not me that interrupted you this time, because I know those I'm not going to do it anymore.
When Iglesias keeps the line moving, I told you they need more.
You did.
It wasn't 2 was not the number I wanted. I wanted 4 or 5, and the sack flies added to that. But that was a big part. And then J.D. Martinez comes up with a big hit, and then Marte's sack fly. But Jose Iglesias, with that incredible plate appearance that he put forth, that was kind of the moment where I was like, all right, the Phillies are kind of on their heels here a little bit.
Yeah, you did turn to me the second they got those 2 runs. You said, I need 2 more. And, I said to you, before you even said that, I said to you, a lot of baseball left. Because there was. I mean, we saw a few weeks ago, they had a 4-run lead in Philly, and they gave it up because that Philly lineup is absolutely dangerous.
Yeah.
But, man.
What's number 2?
Number 2 moment, Mets-Phillies, Mark Vientos. I like to call them Marquee playoffs now. Marquee playoffs, 8th inning, gets the boys going, gets the boys on board. And, man, it makes me so happy. And I always think back to what John said back when the Mets were struggling. The Mets were in a low point. Guys weren't hitting. Guys weren't getting on. Mark Vientos comes up. We're watching the game together. And I texted him. We were home. It was an away game. And I texted John and I said, are you worried about Mark at all? And John says, he's the one guy I'm never worried about. And now me and Tim Wise from Baseball Ops, anytime Mark Vientos does something, which is a lot, text each other and say, never worried about Mark Vientos.
Yeah, that was a bad beep at bat by Mark Vientos to, like I said before, to take that slider down and away, which was a great pitch by Jeff Hoffman. If you watch that pitch That could have been strike 3, especially with the way that some things went behind the plate this evening, but we won't get too deep into that.
Some interesting calling. Some interesting.
Some interesting calls.
I looked up, I was like, is there an Angel or a De Jesus? I mean, like, no. Who's back there? I don't know today.
But that was a massive, massive moment for Mark Vientos. And an incredible and underrated part of that is Francisco Lindor goes first to third, and the throw comes into third. Lindor is safe. And the trail runner, Mark Vientos, goes to second, which was huge because he comes in to score after that because he goes to third on the Nimmo hit, and then he scores on the sac fly by Pete Alonso. So that was massive as well by Mark Vientos, going to second base, having the heads-up ability to score. Have I been all right the whole time?
I think so.
All right, this voice carries, you know that.
If there's a voice that I trust.
It's this one. But just a huge moment for Mark Vientos, coming up huge. Stadium erupted, we erupted, and
when
the
we
rest
say
is history.
The stadium erupted, we mean the empty ballpark full of, not empty, like the ballpark where there were not a game.
But it erupted.
But I'm saying the stadium that erupted had no players in it, was 10,000 plus screaming Mets fans going absolutely crazy because we love this damn team.
It was a scene.
Absolute scenes.
Absolute scenes.
All right, number one moment, Brandon Nimmo gets hot for the playoffs. Brandon Nimmo just takes the lead, puts the guys ahead, and it's just fun to see everything firing on all cylinders right now.
That was another one of those 2 strike at bats where, tough matchup against Matt Strahm, lefty. The Phillies bring Strahm in to face Nimmo, and I thought it was an interesting move because you knew Pete Alonso was on deck against Strahm, so Rob Thompson really rolled the dice there, and that was the guy that Strahm needed to get with the lefty-lefty advantage, and Brandon Nimmo with 2 strikes shortens up and shoots one the other way between Bohm and Trey Turner at third and short into left field, gets the Mets the lead for the first time. We had been sitting, waiting, watching for the Mets offense to explode. They finally did. That hit, it felt like it kind of broke the spirits of the Phillies a little bit there for Nimmo to shoot one the other way with 2 strikes. And for the Phillies, you probably feel like, Strahm might have a chance to get the strikeout here. And then you bring the infield in, and you have a guy in Pete Alonso who, look, he's a power hitter. He strikes out sometimes. Everyone strikes out. The Phillies are thinking, okay, how do we get out of this 1-1? And then all of a sudden, Nimmo gives the Mets the lead, and the equation changes completely. But that was another huge hit for Brandon Nimmo, who we didn't talk about this on the recap episode after the Mets clinched in Milwaukee. His single.
Yeah.
It was kind of underrated there against a really, really tough guy, Devin Williams. That airbender is really more effective against a lefty than a righty. And Brandon Nimmo hung tough in that at-bat, kept the line moving once again. It's been keep the line moving for the Mets, but I have a feeling, Vito, that the home runs are coming. And that's bad news for everybody else in Major League Baseball right now.
You saw it in Game 3. You saw it in Game 3. The home runs weren't there. The second they came, they put them ahead.
But we know this team hits them in bunches, and they like to hit them, and they like to hit them when it sets off effects in the outfield here at Citi Field, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, man. This Sunday game is going to be exciting. We saw that Rob Thompson made a comment and said that he felt like the Citi Field atmosphere was a little too hostile.
It's going to be a madhouse, let's be honest. It's going to be an absolute madhouse.
But how much credit does that give Citi Field that a manager of a team in Philadelphia said we are the hostile environment?
Well, it's not only that. He's making a decision, starting Christopher Sanchez in Game 2 versus Game 3.
Yes.
Sanchez has been really good at Citizens Bank Park this year. He has not been as good on the road. And Rob Thompson, factoring in what is going to be, thanks to you guys, the greatest fans in the world, an absolute zoo on Tuesday night, he's thinking that I'm going to save Aaron Nola. But here's the thing. If Aaron Nola is saved till Tuesday night, Aaron Nola might be, I don't know, possibly trying to keep the season alive. I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but it could be the case. And it's the home field advantage that we talk about so much and why you guys have been praying. We've all been praying for home baseball at Citi Field in October. We know what's in store. Man, it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. But we have another game to play here. A big game on Sunday. Sevy taking the bump again. I'm excited for that. Sevy should have gotten a win the last time he pitched in Philly. The Mets let that one slip away. He was great. I'm excited to see Sevy. Sevy on Tuesday night really bared down some tough situations, especially early. I feel it's going to catapult him to a lot of success here in this next start.
100%. Like you said, he looked outstanding in that last start in that Saturday in Philly. And the bullpen's at a much better place than it was at that point. We've had some rest time. Also, the bullpen today just like put the Mets in a great place to win because David Peterson, obviously not usually a bullpen guy this year, has been a starter all season, comes out of the pen and just gives the Mets tons of innings. And then Reed Garret has been unhittable for like the last month.
Yeah, Reed Garret has found something. He's been one of the best relievers in baseball. He looks even, honestly, better than he did in April.
Which is crazy.
When we were thinking that, he had one of the best Aprils
What he's doing now is more sustainable because what he was doing early in the season was he was a guy who just came up. Guys weren't familiar with him. So he was getting a ton of swing and misses on that slider when things were a little bit outside.
And he's throwing 99 with a nasty split and a nasty sweeper. It's impressive stuff what Reed Garrett's doing. And also shout out Phil Maton. I mean, we know he had the tough outing in Game 2. Bounces back, gives the Mets a clean 8th inning. After they go and they score 5 runs, the shutdown inning and preventing the answer back inning is so big.
Huge.
If the Phillies score a run or two there, the Mets are probably doubting themselves a little bit in the dugout. Oh no, you get the crowd back into it in Philadelphia.
Yeah, you're using Edwin.
You're definitely using Edwin.
Yeah.
And so Maton shutting the door and posting a 0 right then and there.
Gigantic.
That was huge. Then Ryan Stanek, we know he gives up the garbage time double, but still, he's been great in the postseason, throwing heat, locating his four-seam fastball. Everything is clicking right now, and like we mentioned, saving Edwin is also huge. So the Mets go to Philadelphia on Saturday. They get a huge Game 1 victory. At the very worst, we're coming back here to party Game 3, 1-1, but at the very best, oh boy, don't let that happen, Phillies. Don't let that happen.
Man,
you don't want that.
I don't want to get ahead of myself because we have a whole other podcast to record, but tomorrow. And you know what, John, what did I say to you yesterday? Didn't I say to you again today? I said we're going to have a really good podcast today?
Yes, you said that.
Man, feels good to be a Mets fan right now.
It's fun. It's so much fun. And we didn't do the bit. So do we have time? Do you have time to do this?
What's the bit?
About the ranking the different Let's Go Mets.
Okay, real quick. I can do it. Because I am going.
We need to dedicate.
I have a fun doubleheader today. I am going to the Vampire Weekend concert.
If you don't have time, I don't want to.
We can do it tomorrow.
Let's do it tomorrow. So I thought about it today. I was in the gym this morning.
No, you know what? Let's just do it now. We have 5 minutes.
All right, so I was in the gym this morning, and a bunch of people on one of my Mets stuff, and everyone's like, "Oh, let's go Mets, let's go Mets," more so than during the regular season. I thought to myself, there's different Let's Go Mets that you encounter in life. And, what's the ranking of those Let's Go Mets? And I heard what was number 1 today. I know what my number 1 is.
I feel like we have the same number 1.
The number 1 is, I think, an obvious one.
Yeah. Should we say on 3 where it is?
No, let's go 3, 2, 1. So for me, I think number 3 is the Let's Go Mets that, you end a phone call with or someone that, and it's all right, talk to you later, let's go Mets.
Nah, my number 3 is the Let's Go Mets at a bar.
You're talking with one person, or when we went out a couple weeks ago after the Saturday one against the Phillies here, from the back corner of Judy and Punch or whatever it's called.
Judy and Punch, yeah.
I started screaming, "Let's go Mets," and the entire bar erupted. I just kind of threw a grenade.
Let's go Mets at a bar where the whole place goes nuts, whether it be a game, whether it be just after a win, a bunch of people in say Astoria because a bunch of people just got off the N train, they're going out.
That's a good one.
That's my number 3 because my number 2 is a lot more subtle, but it's by far my favorite. My number 2 is you're walking in the street, somebody sees you wearing a hat, and they go, "Yo, let's go Mets."
Why are you mocking my voice there? That's your John voice.
No, my John voice is Zook.
I'm with you on the number 2. The random encounter, Let's Go Mets. Yeah. That's what I would call it.
And I give it a mix of
the guy I don't know or the gal I don't know.
It's the let's go Mets. And then I also love the no voice, but just the
It's the random encounter, Let's Go Mets.
That's the number 2, but number 1 is
number 1 is in the staircase here at Citi Field after the final out of a big victory. Everyone in unison. Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! And then you mix it in with a little bit of you know what. We don't have to go there right now. Although if they lose tonight.
Or nothing else because let's go Mets. Who? Let's go Mets. Who?
I'm a huge who guy.
I love a let's go Mets who, but those are, I don't even think, you got some other let's go Mets, you got like you said, your phone call one, I like, but I usually will end
What about signing off on an email with a big LGM?
I know somebody, I know the Kidcaster likes to sign his signature. He has the automatic signature LGM.
This time, I've been sending so many LGMs and emails recently.
But his is his automatic signature that's just attached.
Got it. It's better. That's a good one though.
Yeah.
The email LGM.
The text. My mom texts me LFGM after every win.
When LGGGM is about to watch a game together, everyone texts LGM at the start of a game, first pitch. That's a good one. The first pitch LGM. There's a lot of good LGMs. They're all different. Many different LGMs.
What's your favorite LGM? What's your favorite Let's Go Mets? Throw it in the comments right now. What's your favorite LGM that you've ever given somebody? What's your favorite one here in the street? I think the number one, though, being that stair ball makes so much sense because it brings back that feeling of being at Shea Stadium and walking down the ramps. Man, there's nothing like that. Do you know what I recently did? I found a video on YouTube of somebody walking the concourse at Shea, and I just sat down and like.
Oh my God! Can you send that to me? The nostalgia.
I was gonna cry. I cried.
We grew up there.
I mean, I miss that place. I think about, man, I don't even want to get into it right now because there's really positive moments. But let's go watch a ball game on Sunday, 4:00. And guys, good news. We were scouting at the ballpark tonight. The sun goes down early enough for some fun.
Facts.
So we'll leave it at that. But you can follow this podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm on Twitter at Vito F. Khaleesi. John is on Twitter at JMB9191. Apple, Spotify, Meet at the Apple. We'll see you back here after Game 2. Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets!